Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Syed Akif Shah, lecturer finance at Institute of Business Studies, Kohat University of Science and Technology. The title of this course is Business Research Methods. The course code for this subject is MS 312. This is lecture number 17, and the topic for today's discussion is research process, which will occupy a series of lectures. And under the umbrella of this research process, in particular, we will discuss the types of different variables in a research study. Dear student, this is a complete diagram explaining the research process. So therefore, we can mention the name a research process diagram. Basically, this lecture is in continuity to my previous lectures, in which we have already explained the first 4 steps of the research process diagram, which were starting from the broader problem area or from observations, and then we have discussed the preliminary data gathering. At third step, we have clearly defined the problem, and then emphasizes on the critical literature review to highlight the important variable having nexus and relationship with each other, and as well as with the dependent variable. We have already covered the theoretical framework initial discussions, in which we have explained the constructs and concept idea, and as well as the latent variables. Therefore, in this lecture particularly, we shall be discussing about the variable types. The most important types of variable in any research study are the dependent variable, which could be 1 or 2 dependent variable, and similarly the independent variables in detail. So once again, the emphasis of this lecture will be on the discussion of dependent and independent variable, which are really important to understand, because the theoretical framework is the logical relationship between the dependent and independent variable, along with the mediating and moderating variables. So dear students, the outline of this lecture will comprise of the theoretical framework definition. In order to make a good theoretical framework or a conceptual model, the understanding of the types of different variable is very important and crucial. So under the types of variable, in particular, we will emphasize on dependent and independent variables along with different examples. So what is a theoretical framework? As a recap, theoretical framework is actually the identification and development of the logical network of relationship among the variables. Variables of interest are related with that particular research study. So it is a logical network of relationship between the variables considered important to the study of any given problem. Therefore, the understanding of the different types of variable is very much crucial to develop a good theoretical framework or a conceptual model. Now, what is the variable in the study? As earlierly explained, there are 4 types of potential variables while a researcher or a manager is conducting a research work pertaining to a given problem situation. The most important variable of interest is known as the dependent variable, as already explained, and in my next few slides it will be elaborated in detail. The independent variables, which are actually influencing or causing the change in the dependent variable, and there will be some moderating variables and intervening variable, which will be discussed in the next lecture. The prime focus of discussion will be on the initial 2 important types of the variable, which is dependent and independent variables. And this theoretical framework is actually the logical linkages or nexus development amongst these four different kinds of variable is known as making a good theoretical framework. Now, what is a variable? As name explains itself, that its value will keep on changing with the change of time and with the change of any given environment or situation. A variable is anything that take on different or varying values with the passage of time. Its value keep on changing. For example, the production units of the employees or workers working in any organization, it may be varying according to the strength and capacity of the worker. So let's suppose if a particular employee feel energetic and calm and relax, so therefore in that particular day the production of the worker will be high. And let's suppose if the worker on any specific day is actually disturbed or tired or maybe sick, so the number of units produced by the same worker will be less in comparison to the day when he is more relaxed and energetic. So therefore the same worker's production, according to the different conditions, mental and physical conditions of that worker, it may causes the change in the production unit or number of product produced by that individual. Similarly, the absenteeism may be keep on changing in the organization. Let's say if a particular organization have 50 number of employees, so on day first, Monday, probably 5 employees are absent. On Tuesday, maybe 10 employees are absent. And similarly, there could be a day when nobody is absent. So absenteeism and its calculation or measurement is actually a variable because it does not have a static or same value every day. So such kind of variables are phenomena to study in social sciences or in business education, and in particular while you are studying a research work or doing a research work are known as variables. So the values can differ at various times for the same object or person, as I have explained that the sales representative selling 2 products today and maybe 5 yesterday, depending upon his physical and mental health and as well as the market demand. The sales representative may sell 2 products today and 5 yesterday. So the variable, that it is known as variable because the value with the passage of time has been changed from 5 to 2. Or at the same time for different object or person, for example, first sale company has, let's suppose, 2 salesmen. The first salesperson is selling 2 products and the second salesperson is selling 5 products on the same day. It means that a variable can have the different values with respect to the different objects or person as well. As initially explained, there are 4 basic types of variables while you are conducting a research work, which starts from dependent variable, which is the prime interest of the researchers to know about the variation or variance in the dependent variable due to the independent variable or variables. And the last 2 will be discussed in my next lecture in detail with solid examples. What is a dependent variable? A variable that is the primary interest to the researcher. The researcher is looking to find out the variation in the dependent variable due to certain independent variables. Researcher goal is to predict, understand, and explain the variation in the dependent variable. As this is the major emphasis point for the researcher, so therefore, what are those factors which are causing or influencing the dependent variable is the prime interest of the research study or the problem phenomena. And the researcher is interested to find out how the dependent variable is changing with respect to the change in the independent variables. The other synonyms in different research books used for the dependent variable are outcomes. It could be known as an explained variable. You can also find the text explaining or representing the dependent variable as a predictant, regressant, and a response variable are synonyms used for dependent variable in different books and text material. Let's take an example. A researcher is interested in investigating debt to equity of a manufacturing companies in Pakistan. So now, as underlined, this debt to equity ratio is the prime interest of the researchers to know about the increase or decrease, or maybe what is the ratio or the level of debt to equity in the manufacturing companies of Pakistan. And this is known as the dependent variable or prime interest of the researcher. Another example, a vice president is concerned that the employees are not loyal to the organization. So the prime interest of the researcher or the vice president is why the employees are not loyal to the organization. So he or she might be interested to know about the reason for disloyalty of the employees working in the organization, or maybe to know about the turnout ratio, which represents how many individual or workers are actually leaving the organization. An applied researcher wants to increase the performance of the bank employee in a particular branch. So the prime interest for applied researcher is to know about the factors which can influence the performance of the employees in the bank organization. So in this example, performance is actually the dependent variable. Last but not the least, for those who are interested in marketing research, a researcher thinks that the recent advertising campaign will increase the sales of the organization. So now the emphasis is on the sales and advertisement campaign nexus or relationships. Here the dependent variable is sale and the independent variable is the advertisement campaign. Now what is the independent variable? An independent variable is the one that influences the dependent variable either in positive or negative way. Like the existence of this independent variable will either increase in the quantity of the dependent variable, or it will decrease the quantity of the dependent variable. So this is what the positive or negative way means. Let's say each unit increase in the independent variable, the dependent variable either increase or decreases. Like let's suppose in our previous example of this recent advertisement campaign, we assume or we can hypothesize that an increase of $100 in the advertisement campaign may increase the sale by $1,000. So we have increased $100 of unit increase in advertisement expenditures, and it will lead towards the increase of $1,000 in the total sales of the company. So this is what each unit increase in the independent variable means, which is causing or influencing the increase or decrease in the dependent variable. Changes in the dependent variables are due to the independent variables. So now we have made the nexus relationship between the dependent and independent variables. It is also called, like in different body of text and different research books, you can find the synonym used for the independent variables are known as the explanatory variable, the predictor, regressor, or the stimulus variable may be used to refer the independent variables in the study or in the research work. Let us take a diagrammatic example to explain the dependent and independent variables. The research problem or the idea is a manager believes that a new product success is actually influencing or causing or having the impact on the stock price of the company. A manager believes, he has the idea that if the new product of the company becomes successful in the market, it influences the stock price of the company. So definitely if the product has been successful in the market, the stock prices of the companies may be enhanced. So this is a hypothesize, a testable statement that we can make a hypothesis, a testable statement on the beliefs of the manager in this fashion, like if the new product success, if there is a new product success, if the new product is successful, it will lead a positive, or it will have a positive impact on the stock prices of the company. We can represent this relationship in this fashion, that to write down your dependent variable and independent variable in different diagrams. We can see that the stock price of the company is actually depending upon the success of the product success. So therefore we can depict that this is our independent variable, and it is actually causing or influencing the change in the dependent variable. So this is the way you can just make a conceptual model which can easily explain that which factor is influencing. This arrowhead is representing that the independent variable is influencing the dependent variable. So this is the way we can conceptualize the model of the variable of our prime interested variable. An independent variable, the following condition should be met: that the independent variable actually causes the variable, or known as cause variable, should occur before the dependent variable effect variable. This statement means that the availability of the independent variable must be well before the dependent variables. When the independent variable does exist, it will cause or it will influence the dependent variable. The first condition says about the independent variable that it should occur before the effect or dependent variable. Second, a logical explanation is needed about why the independent variable affects the dependent variable. This is what you need to take the data from the published and unpublished work, and as well as the researcher can get the preliminary logical explanation with the help of structured and unstructured interviews to highlight or find out the important variable which have nexus or relationship between each other. So a logical explanation is needed that why a particular independent variable is affecting the dependent variable. Logical explanation can be developed if you have done your literature review in a critical way, which explain what already has been published around the globe and why researchers around the globe or around the world think about that there is a proper linkages between the dependent and independent variable of our prime interest. Third, the change in the dependent variable should be associated with the independent variable, and then you can just associate the relationship between dependent and independent variable, as we have taken the example in our previous slide that the success of new product is influencing the stock price of the company. If the product is successful in the market, it will increase the profit of the company. So ultimately a good signal will be flourished or scattered into the stock exchange, which will lead towards the enhancement or increase in the prices of that particular company. Let us take few other example of the dependent and independent variables. Here once again a manager believes that good supervision and training Here we have highlighted two independent variables. If the manager is good in the supervision and if the training facilities are available in the company, it would increase the production level of the workers. When the manager is having or the worker supervisor is actually having good supervision upon the workers and help them in their problems, and as well as there are new ways of doing or manufacturing the product, and the employees have been given the proper training on the job and off the job training, it will lead toward the increase in the production level, which is the dependent variable. So here we have highlighted that there is one dependent variable, like the manager is interested to know about the variation in the production level of the worker. He may look at the supervision level of the company, and as well as if the trainings has been given time to time to the workers. These two are independent variable which are influencing the dependent variable of our interest. Another example, diversity in workforce would increase the organizational effectiveness. This research work or a problem phenomena explains that if a particular company has diversified workforce, by diversification we means that the worker belong to different races, ethnic backgrounds, different cultures, and even different nationalities. If we have a diversified workforce, it will increase. This increase is representing the positive impact on the organizational effectiveness. Organizational effectiveness is our dependent variable, and diversity in the workforce is our independent variable. Organizational effectiveness means that the workers or the organization is utilizing its resources in a good manner. That is, they are producing more number of products or delivering the better service by taking less amount of inputs or resources. We can study, or the manager can study, that if there is a diversified workforce, then the organizational effectiveness in the work or service delivery will be enhanced or increased. So this is the independent variable which is actually influencing the dependent variable or the prime interest of the researcher. A researcher thinks that the recent advertisement, this was already covered in my previous explanation. So these two examples are now pretty much clear to the students that what is the difference between the dependent and independent variables and what actually they are. So this was all about the prime interest or the variable identification. With the help of literature review, the researcher tries to develop the nexus or a logical relationship between dependent and independent variables, so that to make a good research design in the next step. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you have any question, feel free to ask on my registered email. Good luck for the day. Allah Hafiz.